She ain't here tonight.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone here in the audience and at home. Thank you for being here and being interested in public education in Pitt County. Thank you very much. Ms. Council, if I could call on you to lead us in the pledge and the moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now Ms. Council will lead us in a moment of silence.
Okay. First of all, I'd just like to say our heart goes out to our sick board member, also deaths in various families in our school system, and all the other things that are not happening so good in our communities. We just ask each of us to think about letting peace begin with us, and hopefully it will filtrate the world from our country to the total universe. And at this moment, let's go in silence. A moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Moving right ahead.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? It's all in favor. Okay, spotlight on teaching and learning. Dr. Lewis, I believe, will lead us off here. We have some great things to celebrate tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. As always, there's a lot of great things happening in Pitt County schools, and tonight for our Spotlight on Teaching and Learning, we want to highlight just 3 of those. First, we'd like to recognize our recent Battle of the Books winners, and Miss Joanna Drakis is going to be here, our Media and Technology Facilitator, so we're going to invite her up along with the Hope Middle School team.
Well, good evening, and thank you for recognizing the winners of our 27th annual Battle of the Books team. Just don't know where. This is the board here. Just in case anyone doesn't know, Battle of the Books is a program where students read 27 books from a list that's compiled by a panel of school librarians from across the state. They compete in rounds. All of the middle schools compete against one another and answer questions about those books. And it's quite an intense competition at times, and so being a part of this gives them a chance not only to be exposed to a wide variety of books, but also to kind of learn how to work together as a team and collaborate to come to that correct answer. And these guys here are really good at it because they've been our winners for the past 3 years, so we're really excited about their opportunity of moving forward to regionals on April 7th. And so now I'm going to recognize Ms. Tracy Below. She's their coach, and she's going to introduce the students to you.
All right. These are my students. So I have Katie Brimhall, Stokes Sennell, Sean Young, Niraj Mira, Remy Feller, Caitlin Kim, Leanne He back at this end, Alice Guth, Kiki Wang, Alexia Vachani, Lillian Few, and Ella Philpott. They are our team.
At this time, I'll ask Mr. Forrest to come forward and help me recognize. Formal.
Go ahead, Caroline.
No, you're on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Katie, you're gonna. What do you want them to do?
Would you like to read them and hand them out?
Yeah, I'll
Can
be
you-
glad to hand them out.
Yeah, why don't y'all turn around that way?
First of all, before we hand these out, I know we've got some proud parents in here somewhere.
They're all in the hallway.
They're all in the hallway. Y'all come on
All
in
their
here.
parents.
Tell the parents to come in here.
Hope Battle parents, come on in.
Y'all, come on.
It's tiny, yeah.
All y'all. Just slip right on back up in there. That'd be fine.
Come on through. We want to.
We won't hurt. We appreciate the students and we appreciate the parents who made the students happen. How about that? Okay, every one of these certificates is going to say the Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes, and we'll give each one of your names, for creating excellence in the East, presented on March the 6th, 2017. The first one is Katie Brimhall. Hey, Katie, congratulations.
Both of us. Congratulations, you're proud.
It feels awkward, but we'll get it down pat in just a minute. Stokes Danielle. Okay, good job. Okay.
Proud of
Remy
you.
Feller.
Congratulations.
Remy Feller. There you go. Good job. Thank you. Okay.
Lillian Fu.
Lillian Few. Did I do that right? It was close, wasn't it? Alice Gooth. Hey, Alice, how you doing? Right on the front row.
Leanne Heath.
Leanne Heath. All right, good deal.
Sean Young.
Sean Young. Hey, Sean, good job. Thank you.
Caitlin Kim.
Caitlin Kim. Good job, Caitlin. That's right. You stand out there, shake that hand hard. Naraj Marab. Did I do that right? It was close, wasn't it? It was close as anybody. Ella Philpott. Hey, Ella. Good job. Thank you.
Kiki Wang.
Kiki Wayne. Thank you, Kiki. Appreciate it.
Alexia Vachani.
You as nervous as I am. Alexia, do I?
Vachani.
Bachani. Hey, Alexia. Good job. Thank you.
And me.
Hey, yeah. I'm gonna hug us. Good job. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
I'd just like to congratulate all of you and all of you parents. I actually was able to attend the second half of your competition where you all just rocked it. And I'd like to tell everybody else here, there were a whole lot of other fantastic teams and students there participating. And it was so inspiring to see your command of the knowledge in the books. But most inspiring was knowing, I know how good those books are, because when my daughter used to participate, I used to read them because I used to help make up those questions, which I bet some of y'all did too. Help do some coaching, because it's not all just the staff, right? And what you should know is that the skill you have and the interest you have in reading, you don't ever even have to leave your bedroom, and you can go all over the world and learn all kinds of things. And you all know that because you've just read some fantastic books. And I'd just like to say, keep it up and help your younger brothers and sisters to catch on to that love of reading. All right, thank you so much. We're very proud
Y'all
of
stay
you.
right there. We're gonna get a picture. Come on, listen. We gotta get in this too.
I'll stay right up here by Leanne. All right, don't
Make sure
make sure we can
everybody-
see you. I'll stand right beside her.
I'm going to get my numbers. Benji.
Y'all smile now. I know Travis isn't much to look at, but he's all
All right.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Benji.
Thank you, parents.
Okay, I believe we have our second spotlight on teaching and learning.
And I'm a little biased on these because the school nurses are near and dear to me. I'm a big fan of theirs, and they do wonderful work, as do so many of our staff. But many times they don't get the recognition they deserve. And so one of our school nurses, though, received an international award recently. And so I want to ask Terry Joyner, our school health program manager, to come forward with Trish Hooten and share a little more about the award. And also with her is Catherine Nelson, the photographer. She's part of the Pitt County Schools family. Her husband's Joe Nelson, who was a principal with us for a long time. And so we want to thank them for being here tonight.
If I could go ahead and invite Robert and Worth up here, they're going to help present this work, their district.
Well, thank you so much for having us here tonight. It's a real pleasure to be here, and two of my nurses are actually going to be recognized tonight. So I'm real fortunate that I manage the program for the school health program, and even more blessed that I get to work with such a fabulous staff. I wanted to share with you tonight an award that Trish got earlier this school year. It's called the Daisy Award, and VMC recognized her for that award. I'm going to read a couple of things. One, the award is all about nurses consistently demonstrating excellence through their clinical expertise and extraordinary compassionate care, and they're recognized as an outstanding role model for the nursing community. So it's a big deal. It's an international award that was started in 1999, and Trish was nominated. I actually nominated her, and I'm going to read part of that nomination. Trish was working with a little girl whose parents were in Germany, and she's temporarily living with her grandmother and uncle here in Pitt County. The little girl has asthma, no health insurance, and no Social Security number. She was sick with a virus prior to the Christmas break from school, and Trish had seen her in the office and referred her for care. When she did this, she learned from the grandmother that the child had no resources for care, no primary care provider, no meds for her asthma. After trying a few offices to get the student to be seen by an MD, she finally managed to get them an appointment at the Bernstein Clinic. However, even after that visit, Trish followed up with the family and learned that the family didn't have money to buy the medication she needed. She needed both her asthma medications and she needed antibiotics. Well, Trish jumped to work, went and met with the Peds Asthma team and worked with their Indigent Fund program and got her meds, worked with the nurse through our Peds Asthma team to actually go get the meds, get them back to the school, make sure that the family was aware of how to treat that asthma, and to get that child well again. And it's interesting because she gets this email from the family thanking her. And when she sends me, she's like, Terry, sometimes we just don't get thanked for things we do. So I want you to see this really sweet thank you note that I got from the family. And in that very same email, she's going, I just felt like I should have done things faster. So as humble as she was, feeling like, gosh, if only I could have done a better job for this family, when she had already done an awesome job. So I really wanted to share because fabulous note from the family. Dear Ms. Hooten, to do what nobody else will do in a way that nobody else can, in spite of all we go through, is to be a nurse. Nurses disperse comfort, compassion, and caring without a prescription. Thank you for making the breathing of my child easier. That's why you're an angel of mercy. So for that, I felt she really needed to be recognized. I also just want to share that the statue that she was awarded with this comes from Zimbabwe, from a very poor culture, the Shona tribe. And part of the Daisy Award is that the money that goes back to this also helps in Zimbabwe. So it's a very special reward, and so proud of Trish for getting it.
Good job.
Before you do that, Worth, what I want to do is, I did not know you, the name came up today. And I mentioned it, and my daughter, she said, I know her. She's kind. She's a sweet lady, always come to me when I need her. So, coming from my daughter, I think, in addition to that, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. I went online just to look at the Daisy Award. One sentence that really got me. And the family who started it said, we wanted to say thank you to nurses everywhere by establishing a recognition program, the Daisy Award. Through this and other recognitions programs, listen to this now, we honor the superhuman work that nurses do for patients and families every day. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to say, as a principal, I always relied on my school nurses, with difficult situations when students would come in and they would have so much anxiety and stress regarding something, and we could always pull in, especially when it was a health issue involving themselves or a family member. The school nurses always gave that comforting hand. And I also know as a pastor, I have so many people who say to me, you know, I don't really get to know my doctor, but my nurse was the one that held my hand and helped me through whatever I had to go through. And so, to me, school nurses, they're very important, and nurses, period, are important, because both my kids are nurses, so. But the only downfall to that, my wife and I have been talking, they're going to be so tired of taking care of everybody else when they need to take care of us. They're going to put us somewhere. But anyway, I just appreciate what you did. And Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes Trish Hooten for creating excellence in the East, presented on March 6, 2017. And may you always remember this time.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Excuse me.
Mr.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Travis, I think you got one more, right?
One more, yeah. And before we get too far along, one of the things I did want to share about the Daisy Award, I was most impressed with is that somehow they brought the Greenville Cinnabon to celebrate that day. So I don't know how we got hot Cinnabon to come to Greenville, but I was looking around for the store. Also, before I mention the next item, this week is our National School Social Work Week, and so we do want to extend our thanks to our school social workers in the district and the work that they do. The last item for our spotlight, we recently had a very frightening event occur at Wintergreen, but thanks to the heroic efforts of several of our staff members using their training, keeping a cool head under pressure, we're fortunate tonight to have a bright, smiling face with us in the crowd that otherwise might not be. And so I want to ask Principal Kathy Kirkland to come to the podium, joined by a few of her staff, Nurse Wendy Kaiser, Jennifer Gillikin, and Rodney Harris.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be here tonight. I am the principal at Wintergreen Primary and Intermediate Schools, and I'm honored to come tonight to recognize several very important people. Thursday, February 23rd, began just as any Thursday before. Colby Barrow came to school and entered Mrs. Lucero's 5th grade classroom and settled in for the day. A typical Thursday begins with Colby attending PE with coaches Gillikin and Harris. However, this Thursday was anything but typical. At approximately 8:42 a.m., while running laps in the gym, Colby fell to the floor. Within seconds, Coach Gillikin and Coach Harris were at Colby's side. Realizing the situation was life or death, Coach Harris immediately called 911, followed by a call to Nurse Wendy Kaiser, who was on our campus. Nurse Kaiser and I happened to arrive in the gym at the same time. With Nurse Kaiser on Colby's left and I on his right, we each checked Colby for a pulse. And realizing Colby did not have a pulse, Nurse Kaiser immediately began CPR. After 4 rounds of CPR, Colby's heart began to beat. When emergency personnel arrived, they quickly took over attending to Colby and stabilized his vitals. Colby's mother, Amy, arrived shortly after and rode the ambulance with him. In 26 years of public school service, I have never experienced this type of medical emergency involving one of our students. I am immensely thankful that the right people were in the right place at the right time and that God gave these individuals the ability to save Colby's life.
Amen.
I believe I can speak for Colby's parents and family when I say that there are no words that I could sufficiently give to thank these people for saving Colby's life. It's my honor and privilege to recognize Coach Jennifer Gillikin, Coach Rodney Harris, and Nurse Wendy Kaiser this evening for saving Colby Barrow's life. Thank you.
To give this to you now. the Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognize Jennifer Gillikin for creating excellence in the East. Thank you so very much. What you did is amazing. Thank you. Mr. Harris. The Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognize Rodney Harris for creating excellence in the East. Thank you, thank you. Is it Kaiser or Kaiser? It's Kaiser. Ms. Kaiser. Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes Wendy Kaiser for creating excellence in the East. Truly, they are angels here in our presence. And if you could move forward so we can get some decent pictures. And I'd like to, yeah, there we go. We are so blessed to have talented, caring people like you in our midst with our children every single day. I know.
And this is from Colby.
Oh.
We figured you didn't want to laugh.
Mama, can you get in here? There we go. That's great. Thank you so much. We're so honored. Thank you.
You guys, there are no words.
I'm hugging y'all. Come on, Mama. All right, one more. Thank y'all. God bless.
I'd also like to say that this doesn't happen by accident. When you have a principal who's organized and knows who is in the right place in their school and knows who to call, when to call them, how fast to act, that doesn't happen magically. It happens through skill and organization. So congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming today.
Wow. Well, as you can see, great things are happening every day in Pitt County schools. Some we expect and some we don't. So next we have in routine business, item C, public expression. I believe we have one item for public expression. I believe David Jones will be speaking to us about the pillowcase project. Since you're with the group, you have 5 minutes to address us with the disaster, from the Eastern North Carolina region, the American Red Cross Disaster Program Specialist.
Thank you. My name is David Jones. I am the Disaster Program Specialist for the American Red Cross of Pitt County and the greater Pamlico County areas. And what I'm presenting here tonight is the opportunity we would like to present, we would like to work with your students on, starting with your 5th graders. You may be familiar with what we call the Pillowcase Project. And what we do is we have instructors who come into the classroom and they assist the students in designing and putting together pillowcases for a specific purpose. In the Red Cross, we always teach and talk about preparedness. Do we have enough? Did everyone have one?
We have one for one of the board members that's not here.
Okay. We talk about preparedness, and this is just one of those processes. With me, I have Ms. Brenda Hawkins, and she's one of our instructors. So I asked Ms. Hawkins to come forward and present some of this information.
Good evening. In a few minutes, Mr. Jones is going to give you the type of books that we use in our pillowcase project. And it is a joy to be in the classroom with your students, your children, and all to present this pillowcase project. and I'm going to rush through it real quick because it'll take a little time. This project came by us from New Orleans. There were students that had to be evacuated from their dorms, and they put everything that they could into a pillowcase, and this is the way it started, and Disney also did that. Presented those pillowcases and pulled it over as a project for us to give to. Mostly we focus on the 5th grade. Every year, I can say at G.R. Whitfield, we have hit the 5th grade 2 years, and then they have learned from there on. We go into the classroom by telling the children and the teachers about how this project started and who it started with, and we know American Red Cross started, and we also ask them, do you know Clara Barton? And we give them a little bit of history on her and how she was called an angel of mercy. She was out on the battlefield, gun shots and things were going by, tearing her sleeves and all, and okay, she said, we got to help these people. So she went and helped the people all around the battlefields, and it spread it and spread it. And you can also get more information on this through redcross.org. Okay, on the Red Cross, under the Pillowcase Project, we hit a little bit on home and fire escape. We tell the children how and to manage themselves if a fire should come, where to go. Make sure that the parents know this also. And there's 3 words that we tell them to focus on: learn, share, and prepare. So they will learn it first, and then they're going to share it with the parents, and then they're going to get prepared for these things. In your book, Mr. Jones, I think I have enough book for everyone. Okay, they have, good, all right. We tell them to make the fire escape plans, how to look at your bedrooms and different things, places in the house. Pick out one specific space just in case of fire. Always make sure you know how many people is in your house at that time, whether it's birthday party, cookout, or whatever. This is very important so that when you call 911, they will ask you, how many people do we have, everybody? And you will know a number to give to them. We tell them also to look out, pick out a space, maybe a big tree in your yard. If it's too close to your yard or your house, then ask a neighbor. Ask your parents to ask a neighbor if it's okay that you go over in their yard. Sometimes you will have to move out of your little block and go to the next block on the other end of town. It depends upon what is going on in your area, where it's gas or fire or whatever. In your book, we run out of time? Okay, ooh, okay. In here you will find little kits and things that the children have to pack for themselves, and I see that I don't have time, but you will have shoes, food that don't need refrigeration, and all of this. But this is a very good program. We enjoy doing it for you, and if you would like to come down to any school that we are to, then be happy. We'll be happy to have you. Sorry, I don't have enough time now. You know how much time it takes.
Thanks for your time, and we would like to present this program to your 5th graders. Thank you.
That goes in the pillowcase.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do appreciate you coming and educating us
These go
tonight.
in the pillowcase.
All right, next we have the consent items for approval that were sent to board members. And I don't believe any board member asked for any to be removed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's been a motion to approve the consent items and seconded. Is there no discussion? All right. Please raise your right hand if you support approving the consent items. All opposed? Thank you. Ms. Council was second and Mr. Moore was first. Thank you very much. New business. 6th grade participation in middle school athletics. Mr. Butler is here in case anyone has any questions. This is something that this board has been discussing for a while. Just as a little bit of a background, the General Assembly late last summer made a new law, passed a new legislation allowing school districts to begin to allow 6th graders to participate. Many schools did not choose to do that since it was such a late notice. This is an interscholastic sport. Is this more for our pillowcase? Anyway, that was late last summer, and our board has been discussing it for some time, and I'd like to open the floor if there's a motion. Anyone? Yes, Anna Barrett?
I motion that we vote to allow sixth graders to participate.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to allow sixth graders to participate in athletics at middle school. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Anna Barrett moved and Mr. Moore seconded. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Forrest?
Thank you, Caroline. I have received a few phone calls, emails, et cetera, on this issue. I have reached out to most of the schools that are in my district, and I've gotten a mixed reaction. Some of the schools are for it, most of them in my district are not. And the most prevalent reason for that is because that there is the idea, in essence, that sixth graders, it could be a dangerous situation for sixth graders to be involved and play on the same playing on the same teams with eighth graders. That could be a lot more physically mature. So because I've got mixed reaction from my schools and all, I'm going to vote against it when you ask me.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Barrett?
I think it's important
Smith,
to,
excuse me.
it happens all the time. I think it's important to make sure the public understands, I know it's in here in writing, but that football is not included. Because I do think that when I have heard comments or opinions against it, it was generally from people who didn't understand that football was off the table already. So I think that's important.
Okay. Mr. Forrest?
My concern was the football, but that it is not included in sports. I just felt like I would put the decision in the hands of the parents.
Okay.
You know, they could decide whether they want their child to go out for the particular sports or not. And I will tell you, there's some big sixth graders. And then there were some small sixth graders like me, but we do know that there's some kids, you know, that just would, their parents really involve them in athletics. They go to a lot of meets and so forth throughout the state and county. And they may be ready to be developed into a better athlete over a longer period of time. So my decision in voting for it was, number one, football was not part of it, and second, to give the parents a choice in making a decision on whether they participate or not, their child participates.
Thank you very much. Are there other comments?
And similarly, I agree with Mr. Forbes, and it's like any other academic situation or whatever, the parent's always involved in determining whether or not they think the child or the student is at that level. So if you are a sixth grade parent and you think your child's on the small side, then there's always the thing that you can say, no, I don't want him yet. But, you know, if you've got potential, one of the things that we ought to do here is to maximize the potential of every student. And there may be some students at sixth grade that have that potential at that time. So I don't think we ought to hold them back for a year. If they have that potential, parents realize it, then let them go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
I guess we're making our way around the table. I don't think there's any denying that athletics can be a hook and a good motivator for students. And so I think that, and I have heard concerns also like Mr. Forrest has, but I feel like the good of allowing them to play and encouraging parents to be the ultimate decision makers as to whether or not your child is mature enough, can handle the academic requirements of going to practice and getting your homework done. I'm opposed to writing policy so strict that it holds back that opportunity from some, because there are some who aren't ready. I think it's our parents' responsibility to talk with your children and make sure that they can handle the demands. And I think our coaches need to take on some responsibility also. And I think they do a good job of this. I don't think they're going to allow a student to get on a team who's going to get hurt. And likewise, if they have to cut a student, hopefully they'll give that student some feedback of what they need to work on before they can, before they should come back and try out again. So I'm going to vote for it.
Thank you.
Well, I've had mixed feedback also, and it's interesting that the parents are for it, and it seems like a lot of the school staff and coaches are against it. And as a parent, I think it's a parent's decision whether that child be allowed to go out for that sport. I think it's important that parents are aware that some of the sports are co-ed, and that when their child is trying out for a team, that it may not just be all boys or all girls, that it's co-ed, and that might go into the decision. So I'd like to put the responsibility on the parent, but also the coach. If you're concerned that the student isn't strong enough, or you're afraid, for whatever reason, then you need to make that decision and cut those students. But at the same time, like Betsy said, I think it's really important that they understand that to come out next year. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. So I'm going to vote for it because most of the people I've heard back from has been for it.
Thank you. Ms. Counselor, did you want to add anything?
I don't have any real issue with it, except that I'm hoping that the coaches will share the variety of sports that they have, and parents will be reminded that, just don't focus on one area, because so often we just think of the balls, and there are so many other kinds of things in the school that you can do. And so prepare your child to set more than one athletic goal. If that doesn't work, then try it for the next 2 or 3. And then if that doesn't work, then wait until you get to the next level. And then, of course, you have community sports that you can play in parks and recs and all of that. So there's a way to get some of it anyway. So that's how I always taught my children, that don't let nothing hold you back. If you don't get it here, try someplace else. And your turn will come if it's to be. And if it's not to be, then don't worry about it. And to give you a good example of that, my son was great in basketball. And of course, but he knew academics was tops. Then when he got to college, they had like 5 or 6 walk-ons at Morehouse College, and then he realized, he was a little smaller than some of the other guys, he didn't accept it there, so he said, well, I didn't come here to make no NBA team. I came here to get an excellent education on full scholarship, so that's why I'm going to focus on that. But then he joined a community team, and still he had a chance to do that, and now him having worked the world, he plays around the world when he's in different countries. So you can do athletics if that's what you want to do. It just depends on what your goals are, but don't ever let one thing hold you back or discourage you. Utilize all those resources, whether it's athletics or any other kind of activity. There's enough kinds of activity for every child to get into. So I just like to say to parents, don't get caught up in 1 or 2 sports, no matter what level it is. Have some other things for your child so they be well-rounded children.
Thank you very much. And anybody else want to add any other comments? So I'd like to say I took some time and went to 5 events and spoke to parents of 88 5th through 8th graders. Those events were at Welcome, at the Black History event, where I actually asked 35 individual parents of 5th to 8th graders what their opinion was. At EVA Cock, the AB Honor Roll Breakfast, I spoke to 9 parents there, CMFs. We had a listening session. There were 3 parents that came to that. The middle school Battle of the Books. Some of those parents that were in this room just a few minutes ago. Was able to speak to 36 parents at that competition, and at Wintergreen Intermediate, a Title I meeting, I spoke to 5 parents of 5th to 8th graders, and The responses from those 88 were 71 parents said yes, and 17 parents said no. And that's a roughly 80% in favor, 20% against. Some of the reasons the parents were for it, the most common reasons were it's good for their health. It keeps them busy after school in a positive environment. It keeps them motivated to study hard and get up early and be engaged in school. It helps with their grades. And some of the parents who were against it talked about the size differential, the maturity level differential, and academics. So it's interesting, some of the same reasons given for both, and everybody parents differently. So that was an informal survey that I did asking each parent, and it's interesting that it basically came out exactly like the online survey that Pitt County Schools put up, with 550 people responding, with 80% of the respondents saying yes. So, okay, I believe we have a motion in us that's been properly seconded. And if I can restate your motion, that it is moved that we approve 6th grade participation in middle school athletics for the coming school year. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, if you would please, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, and all against? Carol, did you get that? All right, the motion carries. Thank you. And next we have Ms. Grady, who will be, thank you, Ron. Thank you. Who will be talking to us a little bit about the next section of policies that we're working on.
Board members, just for your information tonight, no vote. There's a new section 6000B, policies that cover transportation and purchasing, and they're in your manual to review, and we'll have them the next meeting on the consent agenda for approval. If you have any comments or questions about them, just let me know. Or anyone that's on the policy committee could talk with you about them. We have some interesting discussions during our meetings, and I think people learn a lot.
Again, I'd like to thank you for your service, and also Ms. Council for leading this group. It's been at it for quite a while now, getting our policies up to date. Thank you very much. Okay, closing comments. Dr. Linker.
Just one thing you can always say about Pitt County is the generosity of the business community and how supportive they are of Pitt County schools. And a couple weeks ago, Dr. Travis Lewis was talking about our social worker vehicles, which are like barely running. Yeah, so anyway, leave it at that. So Dr. Lewis had this idea, we're going to go out and see if we can't get some support from our community, sent out. I signed a lot of letters, I know, but within about just a few days, we had 2 businesses, Phelps Chevrolet and Barber Hendrick Honda, replied back with 2 vehicles to help replace some of the 2 aging vehicles. Hopefully we get a few more. I know we're looking for 2 more total, I think, but there was 2 businesses that stepped up, I mean, with just a letter. And that's what's great about Pitt County. You see that everywhere. Those 2 vehicles are probably $25,000 worth that save Pitt County schools. And that just says a lot about Pitt County as a whole.
I'd like to actually start a round of applause for those 2 dealerships.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. No, we usually go this way, don't we? Mr. Miller.
Yes, thank you.
I think we go that way.
I think my first shout out will go to the governor's budget. I think Governor Cooper is doing a great job. And I think most of the folks out there would probably say the same thing. The memo I got says that he has got $13.4 billion in education, of which $9.3 billion is going to go in the state K through 12, and we can use that. And he said, in doing that, he will make North Carolina a top 10 educated state by 2025. And that is great. And I want to be around to be a part of that when it happens. And also to work to achieve that goal. Part of that is 10% salary increase for the teachers over the 2 years. I'm sure you all have heard this, but I just had to do it because it's been a while since North Carolina has done what you see here. The next shout out is the March 6th through 10 is the National School Social Work Week. And those?
It's the month.
It's the month, okay.
National Social Work Month.
So I've been updated on that. It's for the whole month. Pitt County School social workers serve a vital bridge between the home, school, community, with the emphasis on encouraging parental involvement, addressing barriers to students' achievement, and linking families with needy community resources. And I think I've got one. I can't miss the school bus driver. But that was in month of February 13 through 7. Our school bus drivers do a very good job. We've had a couple, 3 incidents, but we weren't liable for those, and that is great. I'm stopping there.
Thank you
I think
so
Pitt
much.
County does a great job, and we're going to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
I hope I'm alive in 2025 too. I just wanted to take my 2 minutes and just make a special acknowledgement to South Central High School. They've had several opportunities just within the last 2 weeks to put a really shining face on Pitt County schools. Of course, they hosted Governor Roy Cooper just a few weeks ago and did a fantastic job. Teachers and staff people on short notice really put an excellent presentation together. And we were proud to show off one of our schools to Governor Cooper. And also this last weekend, they hosted the first regional robotics tournament. And I believe it's the first time it's ever been east of 95. So that was exciting. And of course, we had 2 Pitt County Schools teams, and the Pitt Pirates was on the winning alliance, so that was fantastic. And then the Boneyard was maybe ranked 10th overall, 30 teams, and they got a really great spirit award. But on top of that, I was there for the entire weekend, packed in there with a ton of parents cheering for robots. But one thing that really impressed me were 3 gentlemen on the janitorial staff at South Central named Torrance Green, Clarence Harris, and Carlton Harper, who were very patiently waiting outside the ladies' restroom, where there was a steady flow of people in and out. And several times I walked by and they were still waiting for a lull so they could change the paper towels. And they had done a fantastic job because there was a ton of people in there. Nonetheless, these guys ended up talking me through how to change the paper towel dispenser. And they carry around keys that probably weigh 20 pounds. Like, I had to have someone else hold the keychain while I put the key in the lock to unlock it. But this kind of behind-the-scenes work that these guys do every day, that's above and beyond their normal daily activity, is really to be commended. So I just wanted to say a special thank you to them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, I just wanted to pick one thing that I've done over the last month. I've been to many events, and the one that's fresh in my mind was Belvoir. I've gone to a couple schools. I went to Welcome Middle to visit with the PEP class, which was a phenomenal school, and I'm so glad that I went there. It's the first time I've ever been in it, and it's a great school. So, number one, please, if you've not been to schools in Pitt County, go visit them, because there is so many opportunities there and great things that are going on that you just don't know till you walk inside the doors. But Belvoir was a little school that I've drove past almost every day, 7 days a week when I lived in Tarboro. I was working in Greenville and going to graduate school at the same time. And I would drive by it, but had never been in, always wondered what was going on in that little school. And so last week I got to go to the Dr. Seuss parade and be a judge. And I'll tell you, those children were just so excited and thrilled. And the teachers were great, the staff was great. And my point is if you ever get an opportunity, take it. And if you don't get the opportunity, make the opportunity, because there's lots of schools in Pitt County that could use folks to go in and just read to a child. And I know there's lots of people in Pitt County that have time on their hands that can do that. You don't have to have a child in Pitt County to volunteer. So I encourage everyone that has time to volunteer at a school, get to know the staff, and it'll make your day.
Thank you so much, Ms. Council.
Okay, I'd just like to ditto to all the things that were said tonight so far, and also would like to thank all of the school board members that attended 4-H Achievement Night. And that was wonderful, and that did include a lot of our children throughout Pitt County, not just in Pitt County schools, but home schools and everything. We had over 100 people there. And my club, the All-Stars, shined very well that night, and we were so happy you could see that. And also, as a social worker, in the social work profession, I'd just like to again wish all social workers congrats on National Social Work Month. And also, House Bill 610 that I got some information on as I was leaving the House that we need to all check out, and what I'll do when I get home, I'll just send it to you. But it has been introduced and is dealing with school choice and another way of dismantling public ed. Also, it's going to affect our nutrition program with the free breakfast, lunch programs, and academic kinds of things. So I just wanted you all to pay attention to that and call our representatives and ask not to support that dangerous bill, House Bill 610. And that's pretty much it for tonight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Council. Mr. Forrest.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Not much. I do want to just let everybody know how proud I am to represent two of our schools, fantastic schools, Chicago and G.R. Whitfield. And I just want to welcome on board Dr. Linker to the new principals that we have just settled in there. One is Mike Pollard, and the other is Tracy Gibbs at G.R. Whitfield. Mike is at Chicago. And I just would encourage all the parents to make sure that they get to know them very, very well. I have already talked to both of those principals, knew one of them quite a bit, and encourage them to get involved with the community and get involved with the activities that are going around in those communities, because that really makes a positive difference in the atmosphere and in the camaraderie when it comes to working with students and working with parents. So again, congratulations to Mike and Tracy, and look forward to many years of leadership in those two schools.
Thank you so much, Mr. Forrest. Ms. Smith.
Well, first, I just want to, again, extend thoughts and prayers to Mary tonight when she's not with us. So, Mary, if you're watching in the middle of the night, we missed you tonight, and we hope you get better soon. I want to echo what Melinda said about our visit to Belvoir. It's such a treat to get to go around all these schools and to see the distinct personalities that each school has, because they do. And that's reflective of the leadership and of the teachers and of the student body. And one of the things that I was super impressed with at Belvoir is their Dos Mundos program, which is, for people who don't know, a curriculum where not a curriculum, but a class structure where the kids are in English class all one day and Spanish the next day, in immersion, which is just doing fabulous things with those kids. And just to say that, you know, what's going on there is indicative of what's going on all over our county. Every school has got great things going on. There's so much in the way of extracurriculars being offered to sort of hit every student where they are. Every student's got different gifts, every student's got different interests, and I'm proud to say that our county does a wonderful job of providing opportunities for students. And so just to sort of extend that, open enrollment period is coming up, and I would encourage parents to go and visit lots of schools and not to have their hearts and minds set on, you know, one school. Look at the school, you know, where their district did, and see exactly what that school has to offer, and go visit other schools, because there's just so much going on, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Forbes.
I would just like to start out and just say that we do miss Mary and hope that everything will be okay in regards to her health. We can't say that enough. Also, visited Chicod, Aden Elementary and Aden Middle, and Grifton. And I would like to welcome aboard also at Chicod, Mike, but also at Grifton, Kevin Smith. And, you know, you go into those schools, one thing that I always looked at when I was walking through my schools, are my halls clear? Are kids in the classroom being instructed? You know, it doesn't matter if there's some noise going on, because that's, good noise is good learning. But that they can't learn if they're up and down the halls. And I have to say, all of these schools, I noticed how quiet the halls were, that the students were in the classroom, they were engaged in their lessons, the teachers were teaching. And really, I do think much of the staff development and the programs that the school system is implementing is beginning to pay off. And I think we're going to see eventually a big shift in our scores and how our students perform. Sometimes when you put programs in, it takes a little while to see the results. Sometimes we get a little discouraged, but if you keep with it and stay with it, good instruction happens when you got good teachers engaging, exciting students. And that's what I believe that we have in Pitt County. And this is about the longest I've gone, Mildred. If I only got 13 seconds, I'm just about to hit your record.
I'm getting better.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Forbes. I'll just finish up by extending my condolences to the Parker family who lost their child, their precious son, last week. He was an 8th grader at E.B. Aycock, and it's just a tragedy when that happens, and our thoughts and prayers are certainly with them as they face a new world without their son. Also, the letter of intent signing day at Pitt Community College was a couple weeks ago. Most of you were there. I thought that was incredible. It was so exciting. Simulcast all over our country to 45 or so different colleges. And what was so amazing to me is just how many, it was the overwhelming majority of students were from Pitt County high schools. And they are looking into careers that will pay them, at least has the potential to pay them a lot of money, high-earning technical careers. And I have to say, Pitt Community College has been right there with us, in partnership with us. Y'all have worked really hard to get the courses aligned and articulated and all those special words y'all use to make sure everything lines up so that it works for our students to do the handoff easily from our high schools and into potentially very lucrative careers with a lot of promise. So we're very excited about that. And I also was really honored that the governor chose Pitt County to come and announce his K through 12 budget. In addition to the increases in teacher pay, principal and AP pay is included in his budget, which is sorely needed, being 50th in the country. I was also very excited to hear about the loan repayment program that he is, won't quite say reinstating, but proposing to put a significant amount of money in for promising college students who will choose the profession of education and be able to work off their loans. So it's a fantastic thing, and really, really excited about that. $13 million in the lottery and the gaming funds, not taxes, in the lottery and gaming funds to be used for new textbooks and digital resources. We're still way down in terms of where we were in 2011 or so with that, and we need it. I'm excited about his digital learning program, both at DPI to put high quality digital content to make it easy for our teachers to pick up to date, top shelf digital learning tools, as well as a significant amount of professional development. So now is the time to let your representatives in the General Assembly know that you support this, if you do. If not, that's your business, but we would very much appreciate if you are in support of these things to improve public education. We would very much, this is the time. Even those of you who are hearing this a month later, it's still time. This is early. So it's still time to get in touch with them and advocate for these incredible tools that we could really take advantage of. And then I'd also like to shout out to two staff. You mentioned the custodians who were amazing at South Central High School. I also was there all weekend long. And I will say that the event coordinator came up to me afterwards and said, you know, for this being the first time for your school system to host an event of this size, is that we are really, really impressed, and everything has gone beautifully according to plan. So hats off to be able to pull that off, and that's with the principal being out of town at an athletic competition. So there were two staff members who got recruited at the very last second. The head of FIRST for North Carolina had three judges back out at the last second. One was military deployment, one was an illness, one had a death in the family. And so this was Friday night, about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, and needed judges for the full 2-day weekend. And we're the host, so they asked me, and I was able to call several people that I know, and Tim DeCreasy, when I was calling him and asking him, did he have anybody on his staff? He said, well, what are the credentials? And I said, well, you'd be great. Would you do it? And he volunteered his entire weekend to be there and be a judge, as well as Jeff Sauls, who is AP there at South Central High School. Both of them had plans with their families over the weekend, but they both stepped up and basically worked a 7-day week. So I want to thank you for that. That's the kind of people we have here. We really want to make opportunities happen for our children. Right. That is it for comments. Now we need to go into closed session. We'd entertain a motion for closed session.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
No,
She's going to.
Oh, she's not, okay.
Ms. Council will be reading the, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statutes 143.318.11 for the following purposes. 1, under subsection A3, to consult with our attorney. Also to preserve the attorney-client privilege, and to consider and give instructions concerning a judicial action title 1.b. IB. Okay, is that I? Versus Pitt County Board of Education.
Okay, so we have a motion to go into closed session. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a second from Mr. Moore. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, and just mention to everyone, there are no additional action items or announcements after closed session. So those of you who would, thank you. Very good. Y'all. You on? Okay, so there are no additional action items or announcements.
I get it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Thank you.
You want this back?
We are adjourned.